Hello, my little mathematicians. Today we are going to explore ratios, and we're going to use textbook page 149 in our Go Math textbook to help us with that. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities. Quantities is just a fancy name for things. It could be anything, like for instance, stars and moons. It shows how many times as great one quantity is than another. So for example, for the one we're going to do, we're going to talk about the ratio of star-shaped beads to moon-shaped beads. And they told us that it's in a ratio of 3 to 1. Now, because they mentioned star-shaped beads first, that first number is representing the number of stars. Then it says 2 moon-shaped beads, so after the word 2 is representing the number of moon-shaped beads. This is important because sometimes there may not always be a picture to show us that. So again, whatever order your words are in, it matches up with the things for your numbers. Okay, so let's go ahead and use that information to answer these questions. It says, write the ratio of moon beads to star beads. Well, how many moon beads are there? Moon beads was 1. To star beads was 3. Okay. And let's go ahead and put the word 2 between them so that way it doesn't look like 13. Okay, the next one says write the ratio of moon beads again. So 1 to, this time it's not talking about star beads, but it's talking about all the beads. So what's the total number of beads? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, before I go on, it is important to note that you write the initial ratio, and then if you can reduce it, you would reduce it. However, in this instance, we can't reduce any of these. C asks, if the bracelet has 2 moon beads, how many star beads does it have? So our moon beads, 2 star beads. Well, before I can answer that, I might have to do some little math here. Okay, so I know the ratio is 1 to 3 if we're going from moons to stars. Now, they told us that there's 2 moon beads, but I don't know how many star beads that would require. So what did they do to go from 1 to 2? Because remember, a ratio is talking about it compares quantity of how many times greater something is. So if I use the initial ratio of 1 to 3, I can use that to help me figure out this unknown one right here. Well, how do you get from 1 to 2? You multiply by 2. So do the same thing to the 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So that means when there's 2 moon beads, there's going to be 6 star beads. Okay, so let's go a little bit further. If the bracelet has 9 star beads, how many moon beads does it have? How do you know? Well, let's use that same logic, okay? So we know the ratio of 1 to 3. 1 is representing the number of moon beads. 3 is representing the number of star beads. They told us, what if there were 9 star beads, then how many moon beads would there be? Well, just like we did before, how do you get from 3 to 9? You multiply by 3. So do the same thing here. Multiply the 1 by 3, and you get 3, which means there would be 3 moon beads for that bracelet. And let's kind of draw a visual to see if that makes sense. Okay, so one little set of it has 1, 2, 3 stars and 1 moon. If I were to do another set, 1, 2, 3 stars and 1 moon. You're now at only 6 stars, so you need another set. 1, 2, 3. Now you're at a total of 9 stars, but of course, for every 3 stars, you need to add another moon. And it makes sense. When there was 3, 6, 9 stars, there was 1, 2, 3 moons. But rather than having to draw that picture out, I could have used this helpful little ratio here to help me figure out how many that missing piece was that they didn't tell us. So let's go a little bit further on that. It says make a prediction. Write a rule that you can use to find the number of star beads in a bracelet when you know the number of moon beads. So let's focus on that part of the sentence first. So to find the number of star beads. Try and figure some things out and then test it. Maybe if you want to, draw a picture or test your rule that you did and see if it works for the other problems that we did. Okay. Once you came up with your idea, go ahead and check it. So pause the video, try some. Okay, and now that you've unpaused it, did you get that you multiply the number of moon beads by 3? And then that will always work to tell you the number of star beads. So again, if you're given the number of moon beads, but you need to find the number of star beads, you would multiply the number of moon beads by 3. Or some people, just rather than writing those out, they write an equation. They'll say, okay, so to determine the number of star beads, that's equal to 3 times the number of moon beads. So following that same logic, let's answer the next part of the question. It says, then write a rule that you can use to find the number of moon beads when you know the number of star beads. Okay, so this time, predict how to find the number of moon beads. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, test out a rule. Okay, and now that you're back, double check yourself before I give you the answer and see if it works with some of the examples we've already done, that rule that you came up with. Okay, and let's see, did you get that you would divide the number of star beads by 3? Okay, so for instance, if you were to just write an equation, it would be you take the number of moon beads is equal to however many star beads you have divided by 3. Let's go ahead and actually test that, okay? So for instance, if I know the number of star beads, 3, right? Or if I want to find the number of star beads, excuse me, but I know the number of moon beads, what do? So the number of moon beads is 1. If you multiply that by 3, you get the number of star beads. Yep. 1 times 3 is 3. You're like, well, what about this example? That didn't work. Well, that wasn't talking about moons and stars. That was moon beads to all the beads. But I technically could do it for this question. Okay, so I know the number of moon beads was 2. If I take 2 times 3, I get 6. And that's what we got. Okay, and then for our other equation, it says to find the number of moon beads when you're given the number of star beads, you divide the number of star beads by 3. So for this one, we were given the number of star beads, 9. And if I divide that by 3, I get the number of moon beads. Well, 9 divided by 3 is 3, and that's how many moon beads we got. Okay, so that's what we talk about when we talk about a rule. It's what rule would always work for any number that we were given to find that missing piece of information. So let's go a step further. Remember how for this one we were talking about when you include all the number of beads? So write a rule that you can use to find the total number of beads in a bracelet when you know the number of moon beads. Okay, so think about this one. Come up with a rule and then draw out a bracelet, see if it works. Okay, pause the video. And now that you've unpaused it and you're back, did you come up with the rule that to find the total number of beads, you would multiply the number of moon beads by 4. So that rule would look like the total number of beads is equal to 4 times the number of moon beads. Okay, let's see if that rule works. So for the first one, there was 1 moon bead, and if you do 1 times 4, that's 4 total beads. Yep, that's what it told me. Okay, I can do that with this problem that we did too. Let's test it. Okay, so the number of moon beads in this one was 3. So 3 times 4 is 12. Are there 12 total beads? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, let's pretend that this set wasn't here. How many moon beads do you see? 2. So if you do 2 times 4, you get 8. Are there 8 total beads? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are. And that's how you test it and you make sure that your rule works. Congratulations, you're already on your way to understanding ratios and using to solve problems.